What is up, y'all? Today we're going to talk a little bit about Facundo Campazzo. That's right, Facundo Campazzo. It's pronounced like pizza, all right? And he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Simple as that. I don't know how else to tell you this. I know you guys are excited about some of the draft prospects. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. Facundo Campazzo. Facundo Campazzo. Facundo Campazzo? Facundo Campazzo? Facundo Campazzo. Fun name to say too. Let's get it.
Jamal Murray expressing himself. My goodness. Way downtown. Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan.
All right. So a little bit of background about Facundo. All right, or Facu for short. He was born in Cordoba, Argentina, and he started his career in '08 in Argentina. Played 6 years there. Won 4 league titles. He was even named league MVP in 2012 and his last year, 2014. He then signed for Real Madrid, won 2 league titles for Spain in 2015 and 2018, as well as 3 EuroLeague Cups. He signed a 2-year deal with the Nuggets this past November, and he will turn 30 in March. So, first thing I want to talk about with Facundo is he is an elite passer. And when I say elite, I mean like maybe top 5 in the NBA. I know that sounds crazy, but watch this guy's highlights, man. He does stuff with the ball that you and I you rarely see it, if not ever, all right? So he's tied for the EuroLeague's all-time single game assist records with 19 assists dished out in a 103-97 win over German club Alba Berlin. I know a lot of Alba Berlin fans out there. I can see the comparisons between him and Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate. He passes with so much flair and flavor that, you know, it's going to be a joy to watch in the NBA, and I think that a lot of fans have no idea how great it's going to be to see him. One of the reasons why he's such a good passer is he's really good with the angles, right? He's better than Isosceles. Like, nothing like this has been seen since the ancient Greeks, right? He's out here threading needles with ropes, and, you know, a big part of that is, you know, the way he uses his eye discipline. Much like Jokic, he, you know, is looking away from the guy he's passing to more often than not. And that makes for a really tough job for the guys trying to defend him, right? If you don't know who he's going to pass to, how are you going to defend it? Makes it much harder for them to anticipate it, obviously. Next thing I want to talk about is his finishing, all right? So he's definitely a pass-first point guard, but he's got this finishing skill to be able to open up those passes in the first place. He's really good at using English around the rim, really crafty with the layups. And he can definitely, you know, find some space down there. A lot of times you see him using fakes off the ball in order to open up those scoring lanes. And on top of that, he's a pretty good three-point shooter. He did drop down to the low 30% last year with Real Madrid, but in the 2 seasons past, he was shooting closer to 37.5% from 3. So he's got a good 3 ball. And when you look at his stroke, he's got a pretty good high release point for his size. He's only 5'11", which makes it harder to defend. So like his 3 ball, he's definitely a threat from there. And yeah, like I said, he's super crafty down low. Kind of reminds me of Kyrie Irving, the way he finishes down under. I don't know if he's, you know, as crafty and, you know, and good with the inside finishing, but, you know, some of the layups and close finishes that he makes will make your eyes, you know, kind of widen a little bit. So don't think that, you know, just because he's a good passer, that's all he can do. Next, I want to talk a little bit about his defense. All right, so he's a super committed and motivated defender. He's feisty too. He has pretty good lateral quickness. He doesn't always get over screens. He does go under them a little more than I would like to see. But that being said, he's not the type of guy who's gonna, you know, give up on a defensive assignment if somebody goes past him. He's gonna stick with it and do his very best despite his smaller frame. We all get lost, you know, caught up in the offense, but, you know, as a guy who's, you know, under 6 foot, other teams are gonna try to expose him on defense, and he's gonna have to be able to hold his own if he wants to keep minutes in the NBA. So he's definitely not gonna outblock Bol, standing at, you know, 5'11" and a quarter. But he does have a Euro Cup Defensive Player of the Year award. His lateral movement is really great. He moves his feet well, And being around the game a lot, he has really, really good anticipation, I have to say. You see him picking off passes pretty frequently, poking the ball away from dribblers. He's got super fast hands, and he gets out and runs after the steal, whether it's him or another teammate, and tries to get those easy, fast break points, which I think will be great for the Nuggets, especially with a guy like Jokic on his team. So what is his role going to look like on the Denver Nuggets in this upcoming season? So a lot of the people who watched him in Europe described him as the floor general for Real Madrid. So, that means he's bringing the ball down the court and kind of facilitating the offense, which shows that the team trusted him to make good decisions, make good passes, and, make things happen on offense. And being, sort of one of the elder statesmen, can you say older? I don't know. But bringing that, being one of the older guys on the Nuggets roster, I think Millsap and Barton's probably the same age. Millsap's probably 5-6 years older than him, but totally different role for Millsap. But he's going to bring a lot of stability and maturity to that second unit, which the team is in dire need of. Not that, Monte Morris isn't mature, but definitely isn't as experienced as Facu is. I don't see him necessarily challenging Jamal for minutes, but who knows, if Jamal goes through a slump of play or, anything like that, then we could see Facu get, 20 plus minutes a game. And so as far as expectations, I saw a video by AM Hoops where he basically described Campazzo as a backup player and talked about how his height will probably be a defensive liability. I could see where he's coming from, but I got to say I completely disagree. The Nuggets actually need a smaller guard to defend some of the smaller, quicker guys. Like I think Jordan Clarkson is a great example. Yes, Jamal has improved at defense, but when it comes to those smaller, quicker guys that can get around you and in a hurry, as well as make shots from distance on their own, the Nuggets didn't really have much of an answer for that, and kind of just had to keep up on offense and just play horse with them. So I think Facu could be used as he could get brought in as somebody who can shut down some of those more talented smaller guards on the other team. Not saying he's going to be an all-NBA defender, but he is good at his specific type of defense, and that's, again, that lateral quickness, fast hands, getting steals, jumping in passing lanes, things like that. He's not going to outblock Bol, but he's going to be a serviceable defender at the very least. Another thing AM Hoops did was compare him to foreign players like Ricky Rubio, saying that, hey, the expectations were super high for him and for Rubio, so why should we expect him to be that great? Context is completely different here, all right? This guy has a myriad, I've never said that word out loud, myriad of accomplishments. I'll put them up on screen for you guys. Notice I had to get 2 separate screenshots just to fit them all on here. And that doesn't happen. You don't get that many awards unless you're a really, really high-level competitor, all right? Ricky Rubio was a younger player, and yes, he was a good passer in Europe, but the comparison pretty much stops there. Rubio was a younger player, didn't really establish himself much other than having a couple good stats, and the NBA took a flyer on him saying, hey, this maybe he develops into something special. But I mean, no offense to Ricky Rubio, but it seems like once he's gotten here, he's kind of, rested on his laurels and hasn't really worked that hard to improve. You hear stories about him, going on vacation. He's always messing with his hairstyle. Definitely not the type of guy who's, has that sort of Jordan mentality where you just win at all costs. But watching Campazzo and the way he plays, listening to him in interviews, he's an extremely competitive guy. And again, looking at all the accolades that Campazzo has accumulated over his career, just look at these 2 screenshots. I can't even fit them both on the I couldn't fit one screenshot on the page at a time. I had to take 2, right? That's madness. And yes, it is, abroad, it isn't in the NBA, but I mean, these are still professional players. It's nothing to turn your nose up at. So he's an extremely hungry player, and again, that's what the type of player you want on your team. You want those guys who are competitive, who are trying to win at all costs, even if they're not expected to. And that's why the Timberwolves are doomed to mediocrity, is they're signing guys like Wiggins and don't keep guys like Jimmy Butler. That's why they're never going to win. I mean, maybe they'll go be an 8 seed and get kicked out of the first round of the playoffs, but you need guys who are competitors and are hungry to win in order to win championships in the NBA. So, and on top of all the accolades, just watch him play. His emotion after he scores, his emotion after a teammate gets a bucket. He's a competitive dude, and I love to see that. So another thing AM Hoop said, which I completely think is a terrible comparison, is that he said that Luka has basketball skill and physical gifts that Facu does not. So yes, Luka went third overall, while a lot of teams passed up on Facu when he was listed for $6 million by Real Madrid. So on the surface, yeah, why would you think that he's going to be a huge force in the NBA when for a year or two no NBA teams pulled the trigger on that $6 million release clause? And the answer is that they're completely different types of players and at completely different spots in their career. There's an 8-year age gap between them. At the time Luka was drafted, I think he was 19, and Campazzo was about 27. And they're completely different body types, 5'11" and a quarter versus Luka at 6'7". And he said that they, have Luka has basketball skill that Facu doesn't. I think that is a terrible, take. They have very similar skills actually. Yes, Luka's step back and shooting is top tier. But Facu's got a pretty nasty step back of his own, and I would argue that Facu's actually even a better passer than him. He's got better vision. He does, more. He has a little bit more flair with his passes, and I don't see any reason why you would make the case that Luka is more skilled, other than yes, he's doing it in the NBA and has proven that. But if you watch the tape, to say that anybody is really more skilled than Campazzo is kind of blasphemous in my opinion. Because short guys like him, they rely on their skill in order to make it at the highest level. So saying he's unskilled is super blasphemous. The short guys need more skill than anyone to stay playing at the highest level. So a lot of people have said since Doncic left that Campazzo has been the best player in Europe, which is really exciting. I will admit I haven't been watching Real Madrid religiously, but I'm a soccer fan. I pay attention to what they're doing, and they're one of the biggest basketball teams outside of the United States. And he's been their best player, been their floor general. So in conclusion, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. If you disagree with me, you can at me at Sports Spicy on Twitter, and don't forget to dislike and unsubscribe.